Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth. Our meeting date is Monday, October 6th, 2025. I'm Mayor Todd Kasenberg and I'll call this meeting to order. I ask the clerk to note the starting time for the minutes as 7 p.m. A warm welcome and greetings are extended to councillors, staff, delegations, and observers who will participate in this meeting, regardless of whether being physically in attendance in the council chamber in Listowel, and we have a full house tonight, or being connected through web technologies. We begin tonight's meeting with the playing of O Canada. Those in chambers as able are invited to stand. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe peoples. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous peoples in Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and in peace and friendship. Tonight's meeting is being streamed live in the municipality's YouTube channel and will be available there after this meeting as an archived video. To those who are viewing this meeting via the YouTube channel, a warm welcome is extended to you. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of the council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and/or the clerk have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate or unacceptable behavior and/or comments. Thank you. As you can see, we have all councillors in their seats in the chamber in Listowel. Before we get ramped up with our meeting, let's take the opportunity to recognize a few significant accomplishments in the early minutes of our meeting tonight. I'll come down from the mayor's desk, joined by Deputy Mayor Kellum, to present some awards. Hang on. So we're delighted to have a championship team with us tonight. The 2025 Listowel 11U Legionnaires had an incredible season, finishing with a remarkable 38-5-4 record. This talented group of players, drawn from across Perth County and beyond, came together over the course of 4 months, blending their joy for baseball, I like that sport too, skills and determination to become provincial champions this past August. The team capped off their year on a high note posting a dominant 13-1-1 record in August, which led them both to the ICBA League Championship and an undefeated 5-0 run at the provincial tournament held right here in Listowel. Their unforgettable journey was sealed with a 4-2 victory over Beamsville in the final, a fitting conclusion to a truly remarkable season. So it's our pleasure tonight to congratulate and welcome members of the team and their parents and their coaches and staff who work with this team, and to present you with some honors tonight. I'm going to call up by name a number of the members of the team and the coaching staff, and Deputy Mayor Kellum gets the usual opportunity to put the medal around your neck. But we have some medals for you tonight, folks. So please accept our appreciation and congratulations, and we'll begin with the medal presentations. If you'd hold your applause to the end, then we can have a rousing chorus of applause. All right, let's go here. Jace Burlett, come on up. And we're going to ask you to tuck in behind Deputy Mayor Callum and I after he's put that around your neck. One more medal. Come on behind here. Hunter Adams. Shake your hand too, you know. Congratulations. Congratulations. Cooper Fruit. Cooper's not here tonight. Trip Matthews. Congratulations. Ian McGee. Congratulations. Reed Henderson. Shake your hand too. Jackson Stanley. Congratulations. Tyler Walker. Congratulations. Maddox Burke. Parker Douglas. Not here tonight. Gavin Wallace. Congratulations. And now from the coaching staff, Kyle Schlinger. Austin McCourt. Not here tonight. Brendan McGee. Congratulations. Corey Burke. Congratulations. And Chad Adams. He's absent tonight. To those gathered, meet your championship team from Listowel this year, the U11, 11U, I'll get it right, Legionnaires. Please extend congratulations. Now, what we'll do, as we usually do, is we'll invite council to come by and shake your hands and express their congratulations. So they're going to come in behind me and screw around. starting with Councillor Andrews. Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you so much for coming tonight. We're glad you get to see a little bit of what happens at council. And again, do it again. We'd like to see this happen one more time. All right, thank you so much. Oh, should we do photos? It's not the worst idea in the world. Thank you. The deputy mayor, come back this way. Sorry. Oh, we need a photo. And, however you want to arrange yourselves. Deputy Mayor Kelly and I will get in this picture somehow. Yeah, pull it up. Yeah. Apparently, there's some private taking going on behind me. I can't vouch for it. I'm going to call to be my companions for this presentation Councillor Johnston and Councillor Ruff. Two of you can share the duties, all right? All right. So it's my pleasure tonight as well to recognize a very special person amongst us, Lexi Johnston, who is the 2025-2026 CNE Ambassador of the Fairs. Quite an accomplishment for our community, and we're so proud of Lexi. We certainly had the opportunity as a community to participate recently in a celebration, but we're glad to be able to recognize you at council meeting tonight. The Listowel Agricultural Society is also happy and proud to have had their 2024-2025 Listowel Fair Ambassador Lexi Johnston crowned as the 2025-2026 Canadian National Exhibition or CNE Ambassador of the Fairs. Lexi is the first Listowel Fair Ambassador to have won this title in the history of that championship. She was chosen from a field of approximately 70 fair ambassadors, each representing their home fair from across Ontario. As the CNE Ambassador of the Fairs, Lexi presided over the 2025 CNE in Toronto, a 16-day exhibition that attracts millions of attendees. She will represent the CNE over the next 12 months at various events across Ontario, including many of the over 200 agricultural fairs that take place in the province every year. Lexi's knowledge of agriculture, fairs, and community is impressive and will serve her well in her new role. We are very proud to introduce the CNE Ambassador of the Fairs for 2025-2026, Lexi Johnston. And, and just so that you know, I invited these two fellas here because they are her uncles and they serve on council as well. So I've invited Councillor Johnston and Councillor Rothwell to jointly, and you got to figure it out, guys, put this around your neck as a tribute. There we go. All right. As a tribute to our appreciation. Lexi, how about we ask you just to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's really an honor to be the first Listle Fair ambassador to have been crowned the CNE ambassador of the fairs. It was an overwhelming experience. I was filled with so many emotions, but uh, the 18 days in Toronto was enough Toronto for me for a while. Um, but coming home to this community and representing this community meant everything to me. Truly, this is an inspiring community, agriculturally wise, but everything that we value and our passions in this community makes me so proud to represent it for the next year. So, yeah, I'm very honored. Thank you very much.
Behind wonderful youth in our community are wonderful parents, Doug and Laura. And so we recognize your presence here with us tonight. We're appreciative that you could join us and that you've raised such an outstanding citizen in Lexi. Thank you so much. We're going to invite council, just as you saw with the lads just before this, to come by and extend their greetings to you. So stay here, and then we'll do the picture thing, but we'll get council involved in this picture, so we'll just wrap back around. Yeah. That, colleagues, is the best part of being there, I must confess. All right, let's turn to item 5 of our agenda pertaining to pecuniary interest. Members of council have full lives with engagement in the community. Sometimes they may find themselves with a potential financial or pecuniary interest in an item at the council table. Provincial legislation mandates councillors to declare this interest and, in so doing, avoid direct involvement in the consideration or voting on the item or items. I invite all councillors with a perceived pecuniary interest, including those who have already so declared in writing, and I haven't seen any tonight, to verbally advise the chair in public session. Documentation is to be submitted if not already done pursuant to council procedures. Councillors may declare now or at any point in the meeting should such interest be recognized. Colleagues, any of you wishing to make a declaration at this hour? I'm not seeing any expression of interest there. As chair of this meeting, I will manage the flow of proceedings tonight largely in accord with our agenda and our rules of procedure. Some may be participating remotely by web conference. Should they wish to speak, they may draw the attention of the clerk to this using the conferencing technology's text chat function. If technical difficulties arise from remote participants, I will advise and we have Simon on duty tonight to assist. Let us now focus on the people's business. Part of that focus is achieved when those in chamber silence and put away their phones. Regarding item 6 of our agenda, I have a resolution for consideration to approve the agenda as follows. That the agenda for tonight's meeting be approved as amended to include item 8.4, delegation Les Turbot and David Carson. Regarding agenda item 9.1.1, application for consent file B41-25 by RL Les Turbot on behalf of David Carson Farms and Auction Services Limited, and item 8.5, delegation Pierre Chauvin, MHBC Planning, regarding agenda item 9.1.2, to application for consent file B11-25 by McNaughton Hermson Britton Clarkson Planning Limited on behalf of Atwood Heritage Processing. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Blazek, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Andreessen. Any discussion or debate on this matter? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Uh, Councillor Anstett records a manual in favor vote. And I think we have all accounted for. That is carried. Thank you. Let's move forward then to item 7 on our agenda, the so-called consent agenda. Consent items are placed on our agenda because they're believed to be non-contentious, yet they may warrant council's recognition and/or action. Grouping them expedites our business. However, any councillor wishing to extract one or more items from the consent agenda for discussion, debate, and individual action may do so. There are 19 items on the consent agenda tonight, including the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillors, anything to extract here or any corrections that you'd like seen made to the minutes? Councillor Rothwell.
Good evening, Mayor Todd, Council, staff, and public. Item 7.10 and 7.11 I'd like to bring forward. Item 7.10 is a letter from the Honourable Todd McCarthy, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, regarding an update on small industrial, commercial, and institutional recycling and collection, as well then as the response from the Blue Water Recycling Association.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to pull anything from the consent agenda for action or discussion? All right, let's use our usual procedure then. We'll turn to Councillor Rothwell, and the floor is yours for items 7.10 and 7.11, which I assume will take as a tandem.
Please. Thanks very much, Mayor Todd. Members of Council, these two items have been discussed. I've brought them forward as your representative from the Blue Water Recycling Association. Our hope is that in discussions with the producers, that they would be willing to move forward with collecting small institutional, industrial, and commercial operations recycling as part of that producer responsibility agreement coming forward. Unfortunately, they were not willing to do that, as noted in the Minister Todd McCarthy's comments found on page 39 and 40 of our agenda package. In response, as we lead into item 7.11, Michelle Courtney, our CEO of the Blue Water Cycling Association, has brought forward a response from the Blue Water Recycling Association. Just so council is aware, we're proposing to have that. Although we're extremely disappointed with this decision by the producers and the response from the government, we are proposing to move forward to continue to collect small institutional commercial operations recycling. However, we have to take specific additional steps. These collections have to be by a separate run. They cannot be commingled. So there will be additional costs. We've also had to replace the existing blue bin lid with a red bin lid so that they are very clearly separate and distinct. Our owners of businesses and so on will see a possible change in collection dates, and there will be a series of site visits as well as pricing will be discussed further as our budget continues to go through its process. I want to make sure council is aware of this change, which will be effective in 2026. But as well then the response from Blue Water Recycling. So hopefully it will be a relatively seamless process for our community, but knowing full well there's additional costs and issues in terms of carrying out those collections as we move forward. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to address them, but certainly through our staff here as well as Blue Water Recycling Association, we're glad to move forward on that process. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Rothwell. Colleagues, anyone have questions or comments on this? I didn't sense there's an action vote here. Did you want to propose an action vote?
Thank you, Mayor Todd. I believe we already did take action as a council. We did write a letter through to the province expressing our concerns. Nevertheless, the change is moving forward. I don't believe any additional response is required, other than at some point in budget, we're going to be looking forward at a potential change in our recycling costs. I don't know at this time. I'm just looking at Mark. I don't believe we have a cost on that yet. On this
Mr.
issue,
Hackett
it's
is
been Mark Hackett.
Mr. Hackett put a tie on and a jacket on to come tonight, so that in case there were questions, he could answer them. So, Mr. Hackett, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor Kasenberg. Um, for what they're proposing, Blue Water is going to absorb the cost for the first year, any additional costs. That will give them an opportunity to see the effect of the changes that are coming and then be able to come up with, especially the number and how much it's going to actually cost in the long run. Yeah,
Okay, so there's a bit of a runway here before we see the real cost implemented, from what I understood. Yeah, 2027, sure. Okay. Anyone else with questions, or now that we have Mr. Hackett standing in front of us? Okay, that was gentle. That was gentle. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't think there was an action there, so let's turn to the rest of the consent agenda then. I have a resolution for our consideration as follows. Consent items 7.1 to 7.19 be received for information, and the minutes of the September 22nd, 2025 regular council meeting be adopted. Moved by Councillor Richardson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kellum. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Anstett records a manual in favor vote. And we have 10 votes. That's carried. Thank you very much. At this time, it's proposed we move to agenda item number 8. Our agenda indicates that we will hold 3 public meetings pertaining to matters under the Planning Act for the purpose of executing. It's planning and drainage too, right? Drainage Act. For the purpose of executing the public meeting, I use my discretion as head of council to announce a recess that will last the duration of the public meetings. This council is in recess. All right, let's turn to our public meetings here. Get the right paperwork. All right. First, we're going to have a look at the report from the engineer on the Herald Good Municipal Drain. This is a public meeting that we've convened for the purposes of considering the drainage report for the Herald Good Municipal Drain. And I welcome to our meeting any of the assessed landowners who wish opportunity to make presentation tonight. First, we will call on the consultant represented by Matt Ash from GEI Consultants Canada, who will present the report from the engineer. Mr. Ash, welcome.
as stated, yes, we are here tonight to consider a report for the Hero Gate Municipal Drain. For those of you that don't know, this is a drainage system that is currently in existence on the north end of the Listowel, right around line 87, or the third of Wallace. It spans both sides of Highway 23. There's about 765 acres in total of lands that drain into this. Agricultural lands to the north of line 87, and primarily industrial, commercial, or development lands to the south of line 87. The existing system's an open ditch that starts at Road 165, Gun Club, and goes to Highway 23. Actually, the open ditch ends right beside the Moorfield Mennonite School. From there on up, it's a tile drain system that kind of loops around and back to line 87. The open ditch was originally a water course, natural water course. It was incorporated as municipal drain back in 1928, and the tile drain system was installed in 1951. Council received a request for improvement from some landowners stating that the tile drainage portion was undersized and no longer served their property. So we were appointed in, I believe, March of 2023 to proceed on this improvement. We held an on-site meeting in April of 2023, and at that on-site meeting, it became apparent that there were more improvements necessary than what were originally conceived. We also need a significant, not significant, but we need a sufficient outlet for a proposed municipal stormwater facility that's going in on what we call the Moor Farm, and that's to serve development properties in that northeast quadrant that have become part of the listable settlement area in the last county official plan. We also discovered, subsequent to the on-site meeting, that there are high-pressure gas mains in the vicinity of this system. In particular, on Highway 23, there's a 6-inch, what they call a vital main, and that is the main service to the town of Listowel. As well, there's a 4-inch high-pressure main on line 87. Moving these was going to be a significant cost, so we did a cost-benefit analysis, and we determined that redesigning and rerouting part of this system to avoid those mains was actually the more cost-effective method of dealing with it, even though it does add some cost, but ultimately it becomes cheaper than moving the gas mains themselves. So we are planning to improve the open ditch system by deepening it back to its original grade from the last report in 1951, all the way up to 987. From there on, we will improve the drain by installing a tile drainage system. So we will enclose that first section of ditch across Playford Farms to the Mennonite School. And then we will be putting in a larger system upstream to the first farm before line 87. Since the properties south of line 87 currently drain to the north, we'll actually be changing as part of the development in that area. There was really no need to improve the drain upstream at that point. Those lands would all be taken offline and rerouted to the proposed stormwater pond. Following the design works, initial design works, we held 2 design review meetings in 2024 and 2025, and we had various landowners attend both, offered various comments, and of course assisted us, in particular where tidal drainage systems exist. We also needed various environmental approvals for this one. The Maitland Valley permit is in process, and we expect no issues. We did get a permit from DFO back in 2023. I always try to address DFO first because that can be a major problem. And we will likely need an encroachment permit from MTO, which we will get before construction. So some of our construction, notable construction items here are that all the farm and laneway culverts will be replaced, and they'll all be replaced to accommodate modern farm equipment, so they'll be long enough to pass over with large combines and that sort of thing. The municipality owns 2 wooden bridges that are in the Wallace Optimus Park. Wooden bridges require constant maintenance and inspection, and they can be a liability, so they're going to be replaced with culverts as well with a grass top on them. Listowel Golf Course has elected to do the exact same thing with one of their wooden bridges, so we'll be replacing all of those. As I said, the existing ditch will be filled in across Playford Farms. We didn't necessarily have to fill it in, but in order to deepen it, to get under the gas main, we were going to take a lot of property from that farm. So we felt it was better, in particular for the property owner, to actually enclose that system. And we're rerouting the drainage system around the perimeter of what we call the Dunnigan lands. That's because those lands have been identified for industrial development in the county official plan, and we felt it wise to move that system right to the edge of that property to accommodate future development on those lands. And as I mentioned, we had to move the crossing under Highway 23, which created a number of complications and expenses, some of which are being assessed to Enbridge Gas. And we also have some deep sections of tile on this drain that necessitate extra structure and capacity, such as gravel bedding for the pipe. So all told, once we added everything up, we were looking at about $830,000 for this project, as you can see in your report, which is a significant amount. We do have quite a number of special benefits, and if you read through the report, you'll notice I identified them and itemized everything very clearly. This comes from some of my recent dealings with OMAFRA. They want very specific details on all these things, so we itemize them one by one, property by property. Of particular note, you may want to notice the special benefits for the three development properties, that being listable livestock, Macomb Developments, and the municipality themselves. That's in relation to providing sufficient outlet for future development works to all three properties. Now, two of those, of course, are in active development planning. Listable livestock is not, although they still achieve a benefit from this project. Granted, however, it's down the road some piece. As always, our estimated assessments to landowners are included in Appendix A in the report and the maintenance schedule in Appendix B. As normal, all landowners will have a right of appeal to Court of Revision and the Drainage Tribunal if they see fit. Pending council approval, I would like to tender this project right away. We would like to construct it in the spring if possible to get ready for upcoming development works in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Ash. At this time, we'll turn to those who've assembled for the purpose of this public meeting and invite any assessed landowners. If they would like to address council on this matter, they may do so at this time. Anyone wishing to avail themselves of the opportunity to address council? Okay, I'm not seeing any indication of that. Colleagues, any questions, comments from you at this time about this very large drain project? Councillor Norton.
Thanks, and to you, Mayor Kiesenberg. Yeah, thanks for the report. It's a very lengthy report, so I might have missed it. But list of livestock, are they able to get any of the OMAFA grants as well because they're an agriculture business, or not?
I'd have to look in here and see, but I don't think they're actually classed in the agricultural tax class right now. OMAFRA does have mapping to that regard, and that's where I pulled from. And as I recall, they were not.
Great, thank you very much. I just seen a lot of the properties were getting grants. But I was just wondering because yeah, it is an agriculture business, but I'm not sure how that all works. So, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else with questions or comments about this matter? All right. I'm seeing no evidence of landowner withdrawing based on who's in attendance tonight, and certainly no significant concerns appeared to be raised during the course of this meeting. So I will declare that this meeting is adjourned. All right. We have another drain. I was aware of Mr. Richardson. I knew what was going on. So, all right. So let's call this meeting to order. This is a public meeting for consideration of the report of the Wilson Drain realignment. It is a public meeting. Those who've attended for the purposes of offering comments are welcome. We're grateful to hear them. At this time, we will call on Brandon Widener, who's with an engineering firm, Sprint Associates, to present the report. And he is remote tonight, but he'll be available on our screens. Mr. Widener, if you can hear me, you're welcome to begin.
So good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
We need to get some volume up in the council chamber here.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I think we're good. Thank you.
So tonight we have a Wilson Drain realignment. You remember back a couple of years ago, almost 4 years ago now, we did relocate a portion of this drain upstream. The municipality did receive a relocation request from a downstream owner, in this case, Mr. Brewer. This is a small drain relocation project done under Section 78.5 of the Drainage Act. It's about 365 meters of open drain being relocated, very similar to a project that was just completed called the Silver's Corners drain. Again, this is a one owner request, one owner pays, it's all on one owner's property. So cost of the project is $66,000. It is a fully grantable project. We did expedite this. If you recognize this, this was an appointment based on a council meeting a couple weeks ago. Mr. Richardson was very quick at getting this turned around with helping with permits, and we now have a fully permitted relocation, which they would like to construct this fall. But I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
All right, thank you, Mr. Whitehead. Let's turn to the audience. Those who've come to this meeting, if any, who intend to speak about this matter are welcome to do so. You can present at the podium. Anyone wishing to avail themselves of that opportunity. I'm not seeing any indication on that, so let's turn to my colleagues in council. Anyone with questions or comments about this matter? I'm not seeing anything, so at this point then, we see no indication of withdrawal from participation and no significant concerns have been raised, which means at this point this meeting can be properly adjourned. All right, next we have one more public meeting of this, the Planning Act one. This is a public meeting dealing with an application made under the Planning Act. Welcome to those who are attending for the consideration of an amendment, the proposed amendment to the North Perth zoning bylaw. This is a statutory public meeting to deal with an application for zoning bylaw amendment number ZN 14-2025 Near Lane and Nicole for property legally described as Plan 44M33, Block 252 in the municipality of North Perth, municipally known as 200 Hutton Street East. Correspondence, reports, and comments received regarding this application will be considered by council. Those in attendance wishing to make comment concerning this application will be given the opportunity to do so. Anyone wishing to appeal council's decision on this matter must make a verbal submission during this public meeting or have made a written submission to council. Those wishing to receive notice of decision regarding this application must notify the clerk via email, telephone, or by utilizing the public meeting sign-in sheet located on the desk at the back of the council chambers, giving their mailing address and telephone number. It is time we can call for a summary of the application to be offered by Nathan Garland, who is a planner from the county of Perth, who works typically on North Perth files. Mr. Garland, welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor Kiesenberg, members of the North Perth Council. I'd like to finish our presentation here with respect to ZN 14-2025. The owners and applicants are Union Political, and location as noted is 200 Hutton Street East in Western. Council will may recall dealing with a couple subjects on this file, so they are looking to take a portion off. So this is just a rezoning of the rear portion of the property to reflect the true property that they own. So subject to applications in relation to P1825 and P1925, these were conditionally approved. The location subject to rezoning is outlined in blue on your screen. So that just needs to be from the R5 zone, which is a big higher density zone, into the current R4 zone, which is where they're property related. So it's more or less just to make corrections with the entire plan we build is on the R4. The subject application was forwarded previously, and this is just to ensure that the zoning is consistent throughout. So just an outline of the area being considered, staff are supportive of the rezoning request and the information put forward. We would ask you also consider approving the zoning bylaw today, and I'm happy to address your questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. Let's find out about the notice of public meeting, when that was delivered, and so forth. Can you ask the clerk to provide the information?
Through Mayor Kiesenberg, notice providing persons in a public meeting were mailed on September 16th, 2025.
Thank you. Any additional correspondence, comments, or reports received about this application from 3 Mayor 9 to 9? Okay, thank you. To the clerk.
Through Mayor Kiesenberg, no correspondence received.
Great, thank you. All right, this is the opportunity in the public meeting to have comments made. First, I'll call on those who are in favor of this proposal, other than the applicant, to speak. Any here wishing to avail themselves of that opportunity? I'm seeing no expression of interest there. Next, we invite those who are opposed to this application. Anyone wishing to avail themselves of that opportunity? I see none. Next, the opportunity is provided for the applicant or the agent to speak and address this public meeting. Is anyone from the agent, is either the agent or the applicant represented here tonight and wishing to speak? Please, I don't believe you're available. Good time for me. Okay, thank you. And next, we turn to the council. Anyone with comments or questions? I'm not seeing any at this hour, so I think you can safely wrap this meeting up with the following statutory statement. Notice that the decision of council will be given in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. Council's decision is subject to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. And with that, we adjourn this public meeting. All right. I'm going to call the council formally back into its regular session and its regular meeting at this hour, and we will deal with some items stemming from the meetings that we just held at this time, I think. So those then will deal with the delegations that we have for tonight's meeting. First, let's turn to item 8.1 as follows. We have a resolution as indicated here that the council of the municipality of North Perth accepts the Herald Good Municipal Drain Report dated August 2025 prepared by 2EI Consultants Canada. Can I call for a movement? Thank you, Councillor Ernstett. Seconded by Councillor Duncan. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Ernstett votes Emmanuel in favor vote. And that is carried. Also with item 8.1, a resolution as follows: the Council of Municipality of North Perth will hold the Court of Revision for the Herald Good Municipal Drain on November 17th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion or debate on this? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Ernstett records a manual in favor vote. And that is carried. Next up is item 8.2, and the resolution is as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth accepts the Wilson Municipal Drain Realignment Report dated September 29th, 2025, prepared by Street and Associates. Moved by Councillor Waffle, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Durham. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Ernstett records a manual in favor vote. And that is carried. Thank you. And item 8.3 as follows: the Council of the Municipality of North Perth receives the report dated October 6, 2025, entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Z14-2025, submitted by Wayne and Nicole, affecting lands described as Plan 44M33, Block 252, municipally known as 200 Hutton Street East, and that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves zoning bylaw amendment Z14-2025, submitted by Wayne and Nicole, affecting lands described as Plan 44M33, Lot 252, municipally known as 200 Hutton Street East. I call for a mover. Councillor Ernstett, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Bozek. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And Councillor Ernstett reports a manual in favor vote, and that is carried. All right. We have now received two delegations from those of interested in our council's business or authority, specifically addressing matters that are on our agenda tonight. I remind the delegations that in accordance with the council's procedural bylaw, a total time of 10 minutes speaking per delegation is permitted, and that includes both presentation time, issue present. That includes speaking time, and then there's flexibility around issue time from councilors. Delegation is presented a topic to declare on the submitted request for delegation form, and deviations from the topics are not acceptable to the chair of this council. The quorum is required, and to my usual request to maintain an atmosphere of respect and courtesy, I remind that those delegating should not use the names of those who have not consented to such use. First, we will hear from Peter Ferrand of MHPC Planning, who wishes to speak to item 9.1.2 on our agenda. I believe Mr. Chauvin is remote tonight, so let's see if we have him with us. Mr. Chauvin, can you hear?
For you, Mayor Kiesenberg, it looks like he's experiencing some audio problems. Do we want to go to the next delegation and come back to Mr. Chauvin?
We can certainly do that. Simon, if you can see what can be done about supporting Mr. Chauvin. So that means we're going to turn our attention next to item 8.5. You'll hear from Lester Rick and David Carson, who wish to speak to item 9.1.1 on tonight's agenda. Gentlemen, for your plan, who was leading this, may approach the podium and take the floor. And press the button on the microphone. There we go. Thank you, Mayor Kiesenberg, and Council. Pleasure to be here. We want to take this opportunity to speak to an application for consent made on behalf of David Carson Farms and Auction Services for the severance of the piece of property on Highway 86, just outside Vaughan. You have all seen Nathan Brown's report to the council in this regard, and that report is going through in almost all aspects, with one exception. The proposed separate lands are intended to be delivered to Mr. Carson's daughter as he deals with the challenges and terms of his estate planning. The retained parcel will continue to be owned by David Carson Farms and Auction Services Limited, and both parcels continue to be farmed by David Carson Farms and Auction Services. There's never been any intention to sell and retain 100 acres, but I believe there's been a misinterpretation of the information that was contained on the application. Mr. Garland's report is giving a series of reasons as to why, in his opinion, this proposal does not meet or exactly fit the mold of the provincial policy statement, the Perth County Fishery Plan, and the Perth County Zoning Law, and the North Perth Zoning Law. These respective points have been selected from each of those documents, and I'm not making a criticism here. Mr. Garland seems to be doing his job. Municipal planners tell you what you can, they don't tell you what you can't. The provincial policy statement states that all creation in private agricultural areas is discouraged. In addition, it does not define an appropriate minimum agricultural lot size, as agricultural users and lot size is very cross-promoted. The provincial policy statement does not state that lot creation is prohibited. The Perth County Official Plan also states that lot creation in prime agricultural areas is discouraged. The policies of the official plan are reflective of the agricultural community and the farming operations to support the activities. We understand that. And we believe that this point is more than adequately maintained in this application. The Perth County Official Plan also provides for lot adjustments for legal or technical reasons. At the time that these lots were purchased individually, the lots were joined inadvertently at the time of the purchase due to legal oversight. The proviso to the lot adjustment comment that no new lot is created makes no common sense in our opinion in this case. Nothing changes other than the name of the registered owner. The Perth County Official Plan does not state that lot creation is prohibited. The terms of the North Zoning Law indicate that the proposed several lands will not meet the minimum agricultural lot size of 30 hectares. Notwithstanding the fact that the provincial policy statement does not define minimum size. Splitting the parcel into two 75-acre
farms would not work well as each farm is really set up for its own specific use. We have the 50-acre horse farm and we have the 100-acre cattle farm. So, as a suggestion, coming from here, perhaps it's time to rethink the minimum size plan and deal with these types of applications on their individual merits. We believe that the existing and related agriculture uses are maintained and enhanced. Property assessment will be adjusted, municipal taxes will flow. In our opinion, this application for consent does not set a precedent, and we would respectfully request North Council's common sense recommendation of support. I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kermit. Colleagues, any questions that you wish to ask Mr. Kermit? Councilor Johnston?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. These parcels were purchased as of 50 and 100. That's correct. Years ago, and then merged as they were purchased. So that 50 horsepower was always a 50-acre horsepower.
Yes. Okay. Anyone else with questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kermit.
Thank you.
How are we with getting Mr. Schulberg squared away?
Through you, it seems like we're still having audio issues. He did put in the chat box that if technical issues can be resolved, can I advise council on behalf of Mr. Chauvin that he's in support of the consent application under conditions as drafted by staff, and he's confident that we can answer any technical questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there, like, it feels like pretty much right. If technical questions, we can perhaps get them a little bit later, and maybe by that point in time, we'll sort out some of the stuff. And with council's consent, we can invite Mr. Chauvin if you have questions that are important to him, if that's all right. Colleagues, are you okay with that strategy moving forward tonight? It seems okay. All right. Is there some way you can phone in? Like, is it a computer system problem or no? Okay, just checking. All right. Let's turn then to item 9 on our agenda. First up, our item is for development of the Technical Services Department is item 9.1. In item 9.1.1, Council receives a report on Western Person Farms and Production Services Limited, represented by Les Turbic for consent to sever an agricultural parcel from an existing agricultural parcel operation. Properties in Walsh Ward, municipality of North Perth. County Police Planner Nathan Garland and commonly works on North Perth files as we asked to give an overview of the requested severance. We heard some of that already tonight. Mr. Garland, please.
Thank you, Mr. Burton, members of the North Perth Council. I move this application B41 2025. Owners are David Carson Farms and Production Services Limited, and the applicant are Altura or West Turner. Location as noted is Section 1, current lot 18, and then the full lot of 17. Walls 4, and location number 2 on its noted as 5602 Perth 586. Just a simple sketch has been provided. So there is the two there's the request to split the two parcels, and I'll say it's just it's 100 acre, roughly 50 acre parcel, just for as opposed to the 4.97 minutes. It's based on 150 they're looking at. So the request to retain the 100 acre parcel, which is located on the east side, and then stem off the 50 acre parcel, which is located on the west side. Just a couple of photos from line 86 of the proposed seven retaining lines. So the proposed seven lines are located on the top. Areas are the top image from line 86. That's just looking towards the first farm location and towards the Bonanza, rural area that's really based around the first farm location. And then the proposed retaining lines, there's a long driveway, so it's in the house accessory structures back there. Once again, all agriculturally related as well, too. So it's all through the agency and public comments, we get circulated a platform on this application request, as it relates to the proposed lot line adjustment. Just looking at the interpretation of that and potential consideration for the lot line adjustment as it relates to the merger. NAFO law is not in support of the lot line adjustment. They said that it did not qualify for a lot line adjustment. They're all provisions within the both the planning act and also official plan for lot line adjustments. Typically, the issue is you can't create additional parcels when you do a lot line adjustment beyond where you start with. So this would create an additional parcel. That's why we didn't fit that criteria. So once again, the applicants have requested a separate portion to be retained for family transitional planning. So as noted through Leslie's presentation, Carol's presentation, our apologies for the incorrect notation report. The lot 17, so the full 40 acres or 40 hectares of 100 acres would be retained by David Carson Farms. And the proposed part lot 18, so that's 58 parcel, would be transferred to David's daughter. Both parcels would maintain agricultural operations. It's not within the official plan. It's not considered for development. Both parcels are considered for continued agricultural operation. Planning staff's comments. So we've heard a couple of comments with respect to the first policy statement, official plan, and the zoning bylaw. So currently staff may support the application because it is a request for a undersized agricultural lot under the zoning bylaw and the reference back to the official plan implementation for that. So North Perth has a zoning bylaw requirement for 74.1 acres. That's the typical, I'll say, minimum size, minimum lot size in the North Perth zoning bylaw for an agricultural lot. This one is honestly just a below that number, so it's more than just a small fraction percentage. It's about two-thirds the size of what we're looking for typically. The official plan does direct and gives provisions for the municipality to consider different lot sizes in their agricultural zone, but it is reflected in the zoning bylaw. So that's where the linkage up is to that, and that's what staff takes in the direction of the Texas sovereign applications for the official plan. One note as well too, there is a agricultural application on the horse farm side of things, and there is a house on the contained side of things. There is no MBS concern, so we can look at the MBS distances for that. So the proposed MBS would be over 240 meters, but currently they have 530 meters for separation distance, so there is no impact to any MBS criteria for that consideration. So planning staff recommend that North Perth receive the report, and we are asking North Perth Council to consider not submitting this application for granting North Perth County Land's decision to deny this application. I'm happy to address any questions at this time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Carnes. People, any questions, comments? Councilor Curran.
Thanks for your presentation. Thanks for the report. So what I understand is both farms are not separate farms, and they're probably not with the same name, and they got merged at some point. I might ask the applicant why if that's something that the council. I don't have the ownership issue, but that's my understanding. But I might ask the applicant if that's the appreciated from my side.
Sure. Let's get some facts here. Mr. Turton, did you want to offer comment on behalf of the Carsons?
Yes, I just deferred to Mr. Carson. I don't have the proper description with me. But yes, each of the properties purchased a separate time. When it was purchased in the name of David Carson Farms and Auctions, and then inadvertently, when the second person was purchased the same name, properties merged.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Anything further, Councilor Martin?
Yeah, I've never experienced it, but I've heard that where you have one farm, you buy them under maybe ordinary farms, and then if you buy the next door farm, it's also an ordinary farms, and they merge. So usually people do ordinary farms, and then the next one will be private farms, so that they don't merge. So when I see it from the standpoint, is that this was almost an accidental merger, correct? Through the mayor, that is absolutely going to happen. I think that's my understanding is it's absolutely happening, and typically occurs in a previous ownership and there's a legislative change. And I apologize, I don't have the entire background, but there was a legislative change, and that's what caused a lot of these to merge to the update, I think, to SIFT. So,
Okay, thank you. Councilor Martin.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm through you here this month. Can you just clarify the comment for me, please? I'm not sure.
through the mayor, one of the comments we got through after we reached out to the district with respect to because we are, I guess, take it back a little bit. We are experiencing through these questions and discussions of state planning over in different countries. They do have happened actually throughout Perth County, and they happen throughout the province. So we did reach out to a math with respect to a lot line adjustment consideration because part of it, the lot line adjustment for the PPS allows for corrections for legal and technical reasons. So that's kind of where we relate to the definition of the legal and technical reasons. So one of the requests we reached out for a math would they consider in this case a lot line adjustment for a legal reason. Where it goes through greatness of the original farm parcel size. One of the challenges in the lot line adjustment portion also is it does not allow you to say create more lots than you start with. That's one of the challenges in the lot line adjustment provisions. So if there was two lots there and you get two lots after the lot line adjustment, or in this case, if you started with say one lot, it doesn't necessarily support that. So we reached out to them just for consideration and in support of the application or consideration of the application to use that provision, and that was not an acceptable request.
And that's what prompted the other request for decisions. Correct?
Through the 7th person, sorry, we had
That pushed us towards the severance is the application.
Yes, that's my understanding. We're answering short for briefly.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm not seeing any further questions. Thank you, Mr. Brennan. So we have a resolution as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth advises the Water Division Committee or its delegated authority that the Municipality Board of Perth recommends denial of application file B41-25 submitted by Lester on behalf of David Carson Farms and Action Services Limited for lands described as Position 1, Part 18 and Lot 17, Wallace Ward, in the municipality of North Perth, municipal number as 5602, Perth Line 86. Can I call for a mover? Councilor Rothwell, seconded by. Okay, so I'm not seeing any movement towards a second on this one, which I think expresses a will of council to consider something different. Am I right in assuming this? All right. So, we request amendments from the council, but we are going against the advice of the planner to do something different here. But that's certainly within our prerogative. So I'm assuming that what council would prefer to use a resolution that recommends approval of application file B41-25 and the rest of the resolution as currently constituted. Let's turn the court table. Are you okay with adjusting the resolution for us?
Through you, Mayor Kiessenberg, yes, to be consistent with our normal recommendations that we provide to the Land Division Committee, we would recommend that you maintain the standard conditions, and Planner Garland has provided those.
Okay, so the resolution will say subject to the following conditions, and then they will be itemized per what is in Mr. Garland's report. Correct? You understand what we're considering? Okay, I call for a move on this one. Moved by Councilor Benson, seconded by Councilor Blazek. Any further discussion of the debate? Let's see it. Let's have a vote. And that is carried. Thank you. All right, let's turn to item 9.1.2. In this one, council is invited to support an application for consent to sever file B1125 affecting lands in the Elmo ward in North Municipally as 6683 and 6687, line 71, that has been proposed by Upwood Heritage Processing as represented by MHPC Planning. The matter is subject to approval by the County of Perth Land Division Committee or its designate will be considered by same in due course. Let's hear the Councilor Planner Nathan Garland of the County of Perth. Mr. Garland, you're back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Board members of the Council. This is my last presentation for this evening. So I'm here to present severance application B11-2025. The owners are Alloy Heritage Processing and the applicant or agent, so the applicant and agent is MHPC Planning. The location as noted is concession on Part Lot 1 in the Elmo Ward, and municipal address is 6687 line 70. And there's just a note Well, it's not my fingers. Just a bit of a survey suggestion has been provided for the request. So the request number 2 is the property to the west, a larger block, has a cost of 3.4 hectares in size and 8.4 acres. The proposed timber lands are approximately 1.2 acres or 3 acres to the west. The pictures of the Island Heritage Site, so this is from Lions Family 1. This is perfectly separate land, so it does include the house and the other heritage building that's engaged in the processing there. So just a couple of pictures looking, one's looking to the east and one's looking to the west, just the building and the house that's located on the property. Here's a picture of the proposed retaining lands of the newer building that's been built here. The proposed updated fire reservoir that's located there, and there is some agricultural lands to the east where we have new pasturation. The agency comments now received on this application, so no concerns or comments expressed by any public or agency. As far as the applicant's presentation and high-level piece of information, the proposed request stems from the plans being, I'll say, federally regulated and provincially regulated. If you ask me to explain how that nuance works, I'm sorry, I cannot. But my understanding is that the other plan is provincially regulated, so we follow the provincial regulations. The newer plan is federally regulated, so that would follow the federal regulations. So I believe there's just some request to maybe divide those interests, so we could just deal with maybe one authority or the other when they do works, etc. Both parcels are intended to maintain and continue for main operation processing meat and poultry. In support of the application, the applicants have submitted a noise and air quality study. This relates to the existing residence that's there, so when you're dividing up into the industrial and commercial operations, we do want to make sure that those operations are not impacted by a resident, or also the resident is not impacted by those operations. So they have provided that information in support of the application that demonstrates that those will not be impacted. It is an agricultural related use as per the Alaska guidelines. The existing operation provides the services to the local areas, both the local hunters as well as the local farmers. And then just for consideration, there are approximately 7 retail staff and 10 processing staff on the site. Therefore, we would ask the North Coast Council to receive the report. The North Coast Council will direct the Eastern Land Division or its independent to approve the application. I'm happy to address any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Marion. Colleagues, questions? Your first comments on this one, Councillor Johnston.
Thanks, through you, Mr. Mayor. The smaller portion that is still big enough to know under meat processing regulations, CFIA, and a bunch of agencies get involved, but there is enough room for separations in all the disposal of there. I might be back, maybe show the air photo and Mr. Lands online and able to answer. I might ask his expertise and comments on this as well too. There is an existing lagoon at the back that does service and is maintained on the state, so that's that little. It's a small discolored block. It's a little bitty block that goes to the rear or the almost along the yellow and red line. I believe there's also a septic located there. There is a well located both between the house and the building there. The lagoon would likely serve as kind of the excise water management. There is a consideration for the consent to improve the drainage of it, so staff have provided some comments with respect to easement to be carried through in the future so they can have appropriate outlet. It is my understanding that the site would be able to maintain its current operation, likely limited as far as expansion goes, but that may be directed towards the between parcel. And I think it makes 100% sense to have federally, provincially split because I know the rules were completely different for retail developers. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else with questions or first comments? Councillor Hoffman? Through you, just a comment. It's helpful for understanding my background dealing with provincial and federally regulated. Provincially regulated would be the area of Line and Yellow, and as was mentioned by Brandon Garland, because they're providing local service, and all those services are goods being sold within the province. That's provincially regulated. Federally regulated allows for sales outside of the province of Ontario, and it can certainly be worldwide, but normally it's across provincial
deals with the larger scale operations, but that's generally speaking the distinction between the two. I'm certainly in favor of the proposal. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else with comments or questions before we consider the resolution? All right, let's begin. So as follows, the Council of Municipality of North Perth recommends that the Perth County Land Division Committee or its designate supports consent application file B11-25 submitted by MHBC Planning on behalf of Outreach Heritage Processing, Inc. And that the Council of Municipality of North Perth forwards the conditions listed in the staff report dated October 6, 2025 to the County's Perth Land Division Committee or its designate for consent application for B11-25, effecting the property legally described as Part F Main Concession 12, Elman Ward, Municipality of North Perth, 687-971. Can I call for mover? Councillor Johnston and Councillor Rothwell, thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. In what was probably the most monumental achievement of the county during my tenure as a county councillor, will that connect the link is very fine. The new Perth County official plan was recently approved with changes by the province of Ontario. This document guides land use planning for the foreseeable future, and its modernization was a work that was very involved and demanding, and earned this mayor more gray hair on his head. As item 9.1.3, we have Senior Policy Planner Moira Davidson from the County of Perth with us to present us with an overview of the new county official plan, to summarize expected results and impacts, and to share with us the work that lies ahead, including the new zoning bylaw for North Perth. Ms. Davidson, welcome as always.
Good evening, members of council. Thank you for having me. I'm equally as thrilled that this document is now finally approved by the minister. I'm here to summarize the changes for you as the minister did make some 9 changes with his approval. And I want to summarize what those are and what they look like and kind of what you can expect moving forward with this document. Perfect. So the following slide just provides a brief summary of timelines of kind of where we've been and where we are now. So the previous official plan, as I'm sure you've heard, has been reiterated. It was created, the previous official plan was created in 1990, so it was timely to have an update. And this update began in 2018 and then was subsequently approved by County Council in October 2024. Forming the documents, the text, the schedules that were consolidated into this official plan were then sent to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing for his final approval. And fortunately, on September 12th, 2025, we received confirmation of approval by the Minister with 79 modifications. The 79 modifications, they follow certain themes that I've broken out for you today. With the report that accompanies the report in front of you, there is a matrices that accompanies the report. It provides a detailed summary of what modifications were made, what were omitted or removed, and then what additions were made as well. We're seeing the following themes flow throughout the modifications that were made, them being site-specific policy inclusions, agriculture, aggregate inclusions, servicing and growth, supervision policy alignment, as well as administration modifications, and then modifications made regarding ancient heritage, as well as mapping. Apologies, that's quite small, but I hope to summarize it for you, and again, it is in your report before you. There are some site-specific modifications made. These stem from official plan amendments that were approved by your council, as well as by the Perth Council and County Council from the time that the official plan was approved by County Council in October 2024 to when it received minister's approval. So just wanted to ensure that what you had approved, it wasn't kind of in no man's land, it was actually brought forward into the final document that is in effect today.
The next theme of changes and modifications surround agricultural uses. So there were some terminology changes from agricultural land to land, just in line with the terminology permitted in PBS. There was also terminology changes from additional farm accommodations to farming housing, in alignment with what is termed as in the PBS. There's also expansions to clarifications on permissions for those uses. So we're looking for the that housing to be located within established farm clusters. And we're also looking for, discouraging and not permitting that land and those uses to be severed from the overall farmland, as well as not be able to be converted into several units through a plan of condominium. There was also clarifications made on when additional dwelling units are permitted. So there was the removal of permissions for additional dwelling units on farm-related parcels. It's still permitted on farm parcels, just the industrial and commercial uses that we minister remove those uses from. There was further restrictions on expansion of non-agricultural uses in the agricultural area. And then there's also expansions on requirements for agricultural impact assessments for non-agricultural uses. So a lot of the changes that were made surround the protection of agricultural land that we have in the county today, as well as expanded permissions for protection of the whole agricultural and agri-food network as a whole across the province and how those interact with each other. And the final changes we saw by the minister were further restrictions placed on lot creation in the agricultural area, particularly lot creation being discouraged and not permitted for non-farm lots, the requirement for compliance with MDS for lot severances, and then the minimization of surplus farm lots to just accommodate residential uses and appropriate water and sewage services. The next theme of modifications that were made surround mineral aggregate expansions. There was permissions to allow for mineral aggregate resource expansion as an interim use, as long as there are rehabilitation requirements as detailed in provincial policy. There was also the requirement to protect all aggregate resources, regardless of whether a license exists for that property or that lot to date. And then finally, there were some exemptions put into place for the need for an agricultural impact assessment if certain types of extractions meet those policies of the PPS. Next, the theme surrounds servicing and growth management. The main addition was a carry through from the provincial policy statement itself, and it's just the notion that 3-year supply of residential land appropriately serviced is to be included in lower to municipalities' planning practices. Summary of provincial policy alignment was just to make sure that the references in the official plan were in alignment with the terminology used in the PPS. And then further, there was a generalization of references to some legislation and as well as ministries themselves, just recognizing that there has been a lot of changes in those naming conventions. And if we generalize the term just the province, then we're going to have to go through less modifications to the official plan from the line. Further modifications related to administrative matters, including appropriate numbering, with different sections being added, just ensuring that cross-referencing was appropriate. Deletion of certain OPA numbers that are no longer relevant now that we have a new OPA in place. There's no need to reference old official plans. And then just the appropriate italicization and bolding of names and acts when required. Now, the biggest modification, I would say it's largely related to mapping. It doesn't make a whole lot of changes to the text itself.
but it is the modification of the natural heritage, previously referred to as the natural environment section of the official plan. So the main change was that there was a revised naming and terminology of these features to natural heritage, and this aligns with how it's referred to in the provincial planning statement. Then there's also a division of, or a separation of how this is mapped and considered within the official plan. So now you see that there is a designation, natural heritage designation. It's only existing in settlement areas, and there's an active heritage features overlay that only exists outside the settlement areas. And I'll show you an example of this later on in these slides. There's also further clarity on what permitted uses are in these lands, specifying that agricultural lands can continue, specifying that works in the Drainage Act are not eligible for or are not regulated by, the natural heritage policies. Another feature that was added was the expansion of adjacent lands. So there was the expansion of adjacent lands to significant value lands and fish habitat. This was in line with the provincial policy as the minister saw fit. And then the other changes that you'll see on the slide, these details your matrices, are really just changes in that terminology. So having to go through every previously referenced natural environment has now been changed to natural heritage. So as promised, here is the changes to the schedules that I had mentioned. So the main change you'll see is to Schedule B, is where you'll see that there is a solid color, solid dark green natural heritage designation within settlement areas, as you'll see in listed here on your screen. And then if you look to the overall Perth land use designation map, you'll see that there's a natural heritage features overlay. This is outside settlement areas, and it's kind of shown in a light blue hatching, identifying that the underlying designation is agriculture outside of settlement areas, but there is a feature identified in the overlay by this green hatching you see on the screen. To further guide the natural heritage overlay and to be able to identify what specific features or reasoning behind why the natural heritage overlay exists. The province also implemented or added two new schedules to the official plan, being Schedule D and Schedule E. And Schedule D illustrates all of the provincially significant features and areas in the county. These being, as you see on the slide, it's richest in wetlands, woodlands, valleylands, ant species, and then the adjacent lands that also map here as well. And then Schedule E is the regionally significant features, and that just allows individuals who will identify why there is that overlay on their property and get a better sense of what specifically is relevant to them in the official plan. So that includes the 79 modifications. These 79 modifications have been included in the official plan that was included as in our report package, and they also are located on the county's website. This official plan is now in effect, and through the administrative approval, it also replaces the local official plan. So the old county official plan, as well as the listable official plan, are now repealed and replaced with this county official plan. And just a reminder or note that the minister's approval of the official plan is considered final and is not subject to appeal at this time. So that concludes my summary of modifications in the official plan. I'm happy to answer any questions as you see fit. Thank you.
Colleagues, I think Ms. Davidson certainly and her predecessor, Susanna Reid, deserve great appreciation for the leadership that they've shown in bringing this through an arduous and very complex process. I know CEOs now and I participated in meeting after meeting after meeting over the course of time, and certainly their skill in answering our questions and showing us options hear it, so I want you to hear that from a mayor, certainly in the affected area. Colleagues, I think she pointed out the website and where the text is because she's bringing a test for you next month, and you have to have read it before you can write that test. So look forward to that. Questions, comments? I have one question, if I might, with the overlay approach, which I remember a lot of active talk in the steering group. Has it in any way changed any of the intended provisions that were in our submission as the natural environment at the time for the natural environment designation? Has anything changed?
There are no changes to the text implementation of those policies. I believe the intention of the overlays was to just reinforce what the text already stated, that agricultural uses could continue and that municipal works or works under the Drainage Act or other acts in the legislature were not subject to the policies of natural heritage designation. I think the overlay just clarifies that underlying use, underlying designation is agriculture, that those are the policies that are to be followed, and that should development and site alteration as defined in the official plan come, then the natural heritage policies would be considered. But to reiterate, there are no changes, it really is just a clarification and a mapping.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, any questions or comments? Councilor Hoffman.
Thanks, thanks very much for congratulations again to you and your whole team and predecessors as well. So I do know in the comments you've shared, so all of this information that's once it's gone through every municipality, the track changes or really the information that you've shared in your slides in our report will actually then be available to the public so they can actually see where the changes are. I wholeheartedly support that. I think it's great. So provide information to the public so they can see where the changes were and why they were required. So I think that's important. And thanks for it.
Anyone else? All right, we have a resolution for consideration, and I really should say gratefully, but we'll just remember that. As follows, that the Council of Municipality Mayor Perth receives a report dated October 6, 2025, entitled Approved County Efficient Plan Summary, submitted by the County of Perth Planning Department for information. Moved by Deputy Mayor Town, thank you. Seconded by Councilor Richardson. Discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. And again, gratitude for all the enormous work that has been involved. Council items took a short break requested by the clerk at this point. I gather there may be some audiovisual challenges out there that we need to fix. So we're going to allow our technology team to do that. It's about the time that we usually have a break anyway. So let's come back at 8:41, something like that. Thanks.
Test 1, 2. Test, test. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test, test. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test, test. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test, test. Test 1, 2. Test, test. Test 1, 2. Test, test.
All right, we've returned from our brief break. Hopefully, our audiovisual problems are improved. Let's turn up here 9.2 reports and requested actions from the operations department. In item 1.2.1, staff going forward report to address this proposed intersection improvements at Wallace Avenue North and McDonald Street West in Listerville. Certainly, there have been a number of voices in our community concerned about the navigability and pedestrian friendliness of Wallace Avenue North, which is experiencing vehicular traffic in substantial amounts, especially in pleasant weather months, and which fails to offer a designated and designed crosswalk at any point north of the signaled intersection of Wallace Avenue North and Elizabeth. Council will also be asked to consider a proposal that includes the use of expropriation of property for the purpose of creating improvements to benefits related to traffic flow and safety. We have Manager of Operations Matt Rock with us to give us an overview of this proposal. Mr. Rock, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Kiesenberg, members of council. During the research phase of the Transportation Master Plan, multiple intersections were studied for their performance and how they integrate for motorists and pedestrians. The master plan concluded that operations at 4 intersections, one of them being Wallace Avenue North and McDonald Street, will continue to deteriorate with some unknown change in traffic patterns or modifications to the intersections. McDonald Street West, from Wallace Avenue North to Barber Avenue North, is identified in the 2025 version of the 10-year capital forecast for a full road reconstruction in the year 2027. As part of this project, intersection improvements related to growth recommended for Wallace Avenue and McDonald Street intersection. Currently, the legs of McDonald Street West and East are offset by approximately 30 meters. Allowing McDonald Street and constructing new traffic control segments will allow for control of pedestrian crossings, reduce conflict points, improve driver sight line distances, enhance intersection safety, and better traffic flow. To align McDonald Street, property acquisition will be required. The municipality has been conducting voluntary negotiations with the owner of 925 Wallace Avenue North, seen in Figure 1 of the report. As part of the negotiations, a third-party appraisal was provided to the owner and an offer of purchase was made by the municipality. Unfortunately, over the last several months, the owner and the municipality have not been able to come to a voluntary agreement. After consulting with the municipality's legal counsel, and in order to keep the McDonald Street West project on schedule, the recommendation is that the municipality proceed to expropriation while the voluntary negotiation efforts continue. The land purchase component of the intersection improvements will be funded through a portion of development charges and the general asset management reserve fund. The capital construction components related to intersection improvements are already included in the 10-year capital forecast for the McDonald Street project. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. Colleagues, questions or first comments on this matter? Councillor Reese.
Thank you through you, Mayor Kiesenberg, and thank you for your report, Mr. Rock. Just a technical question with that intersection. Is there any intention to put traffic lights there, or is it just pedestrian crossing lights there?
Through the mayor, the intention is for traffic signal there, so it will be fully signalized intersection. So it will include pedestrian signals as well.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Okay, not seeing any. It's a lengthy resolution, colleagues. I will read it. There's lots to consider here. As follows, the Council of Municipality of North Perth, in its role as expropriating authority, approves an application for approval to expropriate a fee simple interest in that portion of land municipally known as 925 Wallace Avenue North Eastwell, as shown on Figure 1 to this report, land for the purpose of regularizing the Wallace Avenue and McDonald Street intersection. 2. That the clerk be authorized to execute the application for approval to expropriate land and notice of application for approval to expropriate land, the notice, and to serve and publish the notice as required under the Expropriations Act, the Act. 3. A clerk be authorized to forward to the Chief Inquiry Officer any requests for an inquiry or hearing of the necessity in our solicitor for the municipality be authorized to represent the municipality as necessary at any inquiry held under the Act. 5. The Council of Municipality of North Perth, in its role as approving authority, hereby approves the expropriation of the land provided that there is no hearing of necessity requested and not withdrawn in accordance with the Act. 6. The clerk, in consultation with the municipal solicitor, be authorized to register a plan of expropriation and execute and serve any notices required under the Act. 7. Staff continue to seek to negotiate an agreement of purchase and sale for the lands currently with expropriation until an expropriation plan has been registered. And 8. Staff and the municipal solicitor be authorized to take all steps reasonably required to implement the above recommendations. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Rothwell, seconded by Councillor Gordon. All right, discussion and debate. I'm not seeing any indication of that, so I think we can move to the vote. Let's have the vote. And that is unanimously carried. Thank you, Mr. Rock, for that report. Stay put, I think. So item 9.2.2, councillors presented with the results of a properly constituted tendering process for provision of maintenance granular M for municipal operations. Mr. Rock was again with us to take us through the tender results and to consider the staff recommendation. Please take the floor.
Good evening, Council. And again, once again, before you today, we have a tender request for maintenance gravel. We typically like to bring this type of tender to Council early in case there's any major budgetary impacts, such as we've seen in the past. Unfortunately, with this tender call, we did receive two tenders, one from Mackenzie Henderson of Forest, Ontario, and one from King's College, with Mackenzie Henderson being the lowest compliant bid, representing an increase of 3.73% last term's tender. As a reminder, gravel is applied to all roadways within the municipality on a 2-year rotation, and the quantity and application rate remains unchanged from previous tenders. And you'll see the recommendation that we recommend that Council accepts. Mackenzie Henderson as the lowest compliant bidder. And just for some extra information, staff did reach out. There was over 12 municipalities within Southwestern Ontario that had used Mackenzie Henderson this season and last season for aggregate supply concerns. And one particular, our neighbors down in Perth South also used this contract with many concerns being raised. Lastly, we just like to note that the aggregate supply for this contract will be coming from the Miller Group's hit in Harrison, Ontario. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Colleagues, questions or first comments? Councillor Newman.
Yeah, thanks for you, Mark Kaisenberg. I know that with Dunnigan's our staff, they're out usually around 6 in the morning, laying down gravel and getting it all graded. Will we get kind of the same service with this group and same time of year as well? That's yes. In our tender package, we did require that the gravel spreading season start in early May. And speaking with the contract, they did note that we were the first municipality to get their tender submitted for next season. So we're hoping that puts us top of the list. And based on the number of municipalities that they do serve, I don't intend on looking to spend days or adding long days to get the material put down and move on to the next municipality.
Anyone else with questions or first comments? All right, I have a resolution for consideration then as follows. The Council of Municipality of North Perth awards tender NP 3263-25T maintenance granular N to vendor Mackenzie Henderson of Forest, Ontario in the amount of $1,947,700 excluding HST for the 2026 and 2027 seasons. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Anstett, seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion and debate? Seeing none, let's have a vote. is carried. Thank you. That concludes our reports from departments at this time. For item 10, is any member of council who wish to ask for a report from staff or from the committee? I'm not seeing anyone express interest there. For item 11, we have received one item of correspondence beyond those already shared in the consent agenda for council's disposition. In item 11.1, the Minister of BIA provides an update on its plans for its annual Deck the Halls event, which this winter intends to include something of a carnival atmosphere all to be held in the municipal parking lot situated between Main Street East and Incoming and adjacent to TD Bank and Ward North Grove. Requests are made for parking enclosure and noise bylaw exemption to support the event. And I have a resolution that's been prepared for us kindly by the clerk as follows. That the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the request from Bristol BIA to close a portion of the municipal parking lot located at 169 Main Street East as outlined in the request letter from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Friday, November 14th, 2025 for the Dick Halls event, and that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth grants an exemption to a timing regulation found in noise bylaw 32-88-2001 to accommodate live music from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Friday, November 14th. And further, that the North Perth Public Works, Fire, OPP, and Perth County EMS be advised of the event. And I call for a move. Motion by Councillor Duncan, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Blazek. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. That vote is carried. Thank you. At this point, then, we're going to turn to the consideration of bylaws that have been recommended to us by staff for action. Tonight, we have 7 bylaws for our consideration, and what we have is an enabling resolution that outlines for each bylaw their number and purpose. Before I read the resolution for passing these bylaws, and then the council wish to extract one or more of these for a more fulsome consideration over an individual or recorded vote. Seeing nothing there, then I will read the resolution as follows: that bylaw 95-2025 and 98-2025 be read a first and second time and be provisionally adopted, and that the following bylaws are hereby passed. 93-2025 being a bylaw to authorize the signing of parking lot winter maintenance agreement in Small Town Centre. 94-2025 being a bylaw to authorize the signing of parking lot winter maintenance agreement 236017 Ontario Limited. 96-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 6-1999 as amended. 97-2025 being a bylaw to appoint the interim deputy clerk, and 99-2025 being a bylaw to authorize the signing of an agreement between the municipality of North Perth and Macomb Developments Incorporated. Can I call for a move? Moved by Deputy Mayor Kelly. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Andrews. Thank you. I saw a polite smile from the interim deputy clerk, so we should take care of that for her. Any discussion or debate on this? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. All right. Then let's move to item 13 on our agenda. Does the council wish to give notice of motion for our next meeting? Seeing no expression there, let's turn to item 14 on our agenda. For item 13, are there any announcements that would be a benefit to our community or that reflect well on North Perth? And of course, if we have anyone connected remotely, they may also express interest in that. Anyone have something to raise? Councillor Morgan.
Thanks, Bert. I would just like to commend staff. This past Friday, Saturday, we saw a tree pickup for North Perth. I was just talking to Mark Conklin. He said it went really well. And he said, even when he retires, he wants to come back just for that day because people are just had smiles on their face and it was well attended and all in all good.
Trees are bringing people together. Love it. All right. Anyone else with an announcement? Thank you, Councillor Mayor. All right, not seeing anything further there. We're now on agenda item 15. We have one item to be considered in a closed session meeting of council. I'll now read the resolution that explains and enables our action to enter a closed session meeting. As follows, the council proceeds in camera at 8:58 p.m. In accordance with Section 239, Subsection 2E of the Municipal Act, a closed session pertaining to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or the local board regarding OLT 24-001095, OLT 24-001096, and OLT 24-001097. Can we call for a mover on this? Moved by Councillor Duncan, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Morgan. Any discussion or debate on this? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. All right, we're going to proceed to reset the official settings for the purposes of holding a closed meeting. Anyone who's not been exited closed session and now are at item 16 on our agenda. Council to discuss the matter identified in the enabling resolution for a closed session meeting of council and to give staff direction pertaining to the matter that was considered. Aspects of which will remain confidential at this time for the reasons stipulated in our enablement of closed session. Council has mandated good practice action at the end of its meeting agenda to confirm all of its actions and business of its meetings through what is called the confirmatory bylaw. I have a enabling resolution for that bylaw tonight as follows: bylaw 100-2025. 100 bylaws this year. That's exciting. Being a bylaw to confirm generally previous actions of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth is hereby passed. Moved by Councillor Murdoch, seconded by Councillor Anstett. Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. I will advise, as I often do at this point of the meeting, that for our bylaws that each non-financial priorities that were considered and passed at tonight's meeting, I have in support and will not execute a veto. This information is provided to the clerk as part of my required duties as mayor. Councillors, we have completed deliberation and taken action on the business that has come before us. It is thus appropriate for us to consider adjournment. I have a resolution to that effect as follows: the council adjourns at 9:24 p.m. to meet again for general council business on Monday, October 20th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Andreessen. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Johnston. It's not a debatable motion. Let's have the vote. And that is carried. Colleagues, I wish you all a good Thanksgiving that is coming up between now and our next meeting. And until our next meeting on October 20th, this is adjourned.